Good evening, everyone. I am back for one final run of Velmorne on my low-level character. I managed to get up to Gnosis 2, leveled my prayer to 22, and I have still my M2 cricket, but now my Striga is M1. And then there's the M3 Mandrake and Fire Breath. I'm also wearing the lowest level bead there, the plus 10% health one. And I'm carrying one standard ammo pack, but I still do not yet have a ring, relic, heavy spell, or demonic weapon. So, in our last couple of runs, we have sort of established that it is entirely possible to navigate the level at very low levels. Poke your head around, and it's entirely possible to kill the familiar, provided you have certain key pieces of gear leveled up to max, and you employ some good positioning in the actual battle, because if you try to play the game at a distance, I actually find it's harder to deal with the Widow. Those leap attacks and stomp combos have a huge AoE, and at this level you typically don't have sufficient stamina to evade everything and then still have enough left over to counterattack. So best to keep her try to keep her at kind of like close or medium range and dance around some rock formation there. But back to this run. The purpose of this run was just to see if, with a little bit more power, with a little bit more prior grinding, I'd be able to clear the top of the map, full clear the top of the map, get rid of all the camps, and see what kind of shape that leaves me in if I'm able to challenge the familiar afterwards. So that is the purpose of this run. Something worth mentioning here is that since I leveled up a few times, the defenses got re-rolled, and they are far more favorable this time. So I have, two of the lower level mobs, one of the medium mobs close to the entry point of the level, which is far better than having, all of those sort of weaker mobs at the opposite end of the map. So that's definitely another way in which luck favors us this time around. As I said in previous videos, this map is probably one of the most complex in terms of overall structure and exploration options. Visually, it's also the busiest with multiple types of particle effects. You got all those flames and fog and foliage, a lot of water. And I'm guessing all of these things combined just with the overall size and sheer geometric complexity, I'm guessing that's the reason why it doesn't run as well. So if you are used to having, 60 FPS or 120 FPS on the other maps, get ready for something, palpably lower than that. Yeah. And as I said in the last video, cricket is of huge help in dealing with the spiders, especially if you have it up to at least M2 to get that instant dash reload. AI still can be a little bizarre, a little cowardly with it running away, and then this guy decides to do its ordnance or artillery attack when I'm right in front of him, like 6 feet away. It worked for me though, so, Something else that I hadn't done on my previous runs was actually equip or burn some incense prior to embarking on the expedition. So, yeah, I've got, I think it's called Wellspring Incense, the one that you usually have the most ingredients for. To be honest, ever since the introduction of incenses, I've been pretty much just defaulting to that one. Part of it is because I couldn't be bothered to theory craft what would fit my current setup the best. And the other reason is because, as I said, that's what you have the most ingredients for. And lastly, it really is, frankly, good to get additional max HP on each absorbed manifestation. That's honestly kind of hard to beat, especially at lower levels, and especially after the patch, after the latest update, which seems to bring our overall HP levels a bit lower than before, and we also seem to have a lower cap on our healing items. So, you know, it's, I'd say, even more useful than before, that Wellspring Incense. Excuse me. I played semi-cautiously, still taking my time to try to find, you know, safe positions, safe approach angles, but it was nowhere near the survival horror experience that it was the first couple of videos that I put out, and a few other runs that I also had afterwards. Yeah, I felt slowed down. I don't know if it's the water or if it was the FPS taking a huge hit, but I just felt a little sluggish on this map. So I was trying to, I didn't trust that I was going to be able to, you know, dance around all these enemies. And again, if you go here with a low-level character, low stamina, low mobility, and so on, you are going to have to play cautiously. If you're used to just dancing around people with a shoddy and SMG or machine pistol, this you might struggle here, because a lot of these enemies have the capacity to just surround you and completely drain you of stamina in a couple of seconds. So definitely want to be more methodical on this map at the very least. I think that was also my experience with the level 100 plus character that I first ran this with. So yeah, I see that Gravedigger up there, and I kind of referring back to some of the complaints I read online about the difficulty of this map. Some people complain about the townswoman being able to teleport from a very long distance. That definitely can catch you off guard. But my personal sort of most inconvenient enemy is the Gravedigger, and especially the sort of commander. Oh, speaking of townswomen, here's one, and yes, they do pretty much appear out of nowhere. So you have to kind of keep an eye on the horizon, really. And if you see them, you try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. They do go down pretty quickly, and I think after they teleport, if they miss, they're a bit dazed, so you have a chance to kill them quickly. But those are not actually my biggest pain in the ass. I am probably least fond of these Gravediggers because, and I don't mean they need to be different, I mean these are the ones that give me the most trouble. I think the regular variant is fine. I think it's a cool enemy that kind of stalks you and throws projectiles at a distance. It's got a couple of cool tricks up its sleeve. If you get too close, you're likely going to get poisoned or decayed, whatever. The one that I have the biggest problem with is actually the elite or commander variant. There's like 3 unique enemies on this map, and there's a mini-boss version of this guy. I find that one to be far tankier than anything else. In the meantime, I pop my Mandrake M3 a bit early here. I wasn't expecting this sort of flood of spiders to suddenly be on me, so I knew at this point that this was going to cost me in the longer run, whether with one of the commander mini bosses or the widow herself. Striga of huge help again against these guys. What I try to do is I try to kind of swap back and forth between the weapons, get the stun, get them stunned with the Striga. While they're stunned, switch over to Cricket and try to take advantage of the extra DPS. Because I think during the I may be wrong. I haven't precisely calculated this, but I think in the time that they're stunned, you can dish out more damage with a high rate of fire weapon than by plinking away with the Striga, even if it does do extra damage against stunned enemies. But it could just be, something that I'm feeling is that way. I could be wrong, but that was kind of my tactic there, is stun him with the Striga, switch to Cricket. And the other reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to also farm kills onto my Cricket to get it to M3. There's another townswoman. There's another one to the left. I can see the indicator, so I quickly move out of the way. It's helpful to kind of think of Witchfire as kind of like a brawler type of game, where, I don't know if you're familiar with this old school beat 'em up games where you would just walk around with one character and fight a number of dudes in hand to hand, and you'd focus on one guy for a while, then somebody else would sneak up behind you, you'd have to reposition. You want to kind of more so than focus on your aiming, constantly mind your positioning. The aiming in this game is fairly easy. Most targets are stationary, or at least they lock in place before they're attacked. So aiming in this game is not not the part that requires the most skill. It's mostly situational awareness and repositioning. The ability to know when and how to reposition to give yourself the best upper hand, the best advantage. Here I'm facing off against some assassins and a little crossbowman. And I'm playing, slowly, cautiously, because I'm assuming, or I'm trying to give myself a shot at a full clear. So I want to preserve as many of my resources for the situations that are truly challenging, and I don't want to just piss away resources because I'm being impatient. Nope. I've been getting a little better at hitting those soul sigils with Cricket, and this might be simply my impression, but I feel like focus charges a little bit faster post-update. I haven't read the notes, but something about the way focus works seems a little bit more forgiving. I feel like I'm able to regain my focus a lot faster in this version. And at this point, we actually cleared all of the No, well, there's one more camp far off, so we didn't clear that one. And I can't remember exactly what I was thinking here, but I must have been considering going down to the Widow. But then I remember I already killed her once, and she did not drop the chart to Iron Gate, so I was more curious about that. And I did not actually challenge all of the mini bosses on this map with the low-level characters, so I figured maybe either the High Executioner or the boss Gravedigger has it. So I figured I should probably, commit to this at least commit to the idea of clearing all of the challenges above ground before going underground. Because again, the main purpose of these runs has mainly been to see what it is that people are talking about. Just really got me curious, and kind of excited because, it's been a while since Witchfire has felt, challenging outside of us purposefully doing challenge runs. So I wanted to see if it's really that bad at a low level character, and it is challenging, I'm not gonna lie, but I was pretty happy with how I handled this guy here. I felt like my weapon swapping and mixing in of melee and spells was pretty optimal. And a lot of these scary enemies, like the Widow and this guy as well, they're actually easier to handle closer in medium range. I feel like they only do their really nasty, surprising combos and long distance jumps with huge AoEs and so on. If you're trying to keep them at a distance, if you're trying to run away from them. When you're close, their rhythm, I feel, is a lot more predictable. That their AI sort of just waddles around and puts out one attack here and there, and it gives you a lot more opportunity to do what you want to do. Here I almost fell to my death. I was going to jump straight over that, thinking there's going to be a street there, but no. So yeah, now I have to challenge this guy, who I said earlier is my least favorite enemy on this map. You kind of fight him in this little courtyard that has a lot of little... See, that attack, I'm expecting that attack to be a melee attack. So I think if I just take a step back, the shovel is going to swing past me, I'm safe. But really it's not. It's just it's a poison cloud attack. So you get close to him, he swings the shovel, you're thinking, oh, I'll time it right, I'll move out of the way, I'll be fine. But no, it's an AoE attack. So you just have to keep him at a distance, then you have to deal with his little army once in a while. Make sure you don't get hit by the multiple projectiles he tosses out, and it just takes a long freaking time. And I think I also end up shooting a calamity, triggering a calamity at this point. Not a hard one, mind you, but it was enough to make this already cramped courtyard even worse. Again, I complain about these things, not necessarily the same as saying I want them to be different, but merely observing that so far this has been, this fight here is, in my opinion, the most annoying or challenging, let's say challenging part of Velmorne. And a part of that is because I feel like you need to keep him at a distance. And you just kite him and plink away because he has a huge health bar. And I'm sure there's something that I'm missing mechanically. I haven't had that many goes at him to be an expert on it, far from it. But again, low-level character, under-geared. I haven't spent a lot of time farming, and I'm sure other people can invest more time in the game and spend a little more time leveling up, farming up, and do better than I did on this run. So in conclusion, I'm starting to think more and more that this area is really just fine. It's just fine in terms of difficulty. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.